Everyone tell us, and this is the patch that is supposed to be the juice. Now, it's patch 12.8, so if you guys saw the preview, which is on the highlights channel, then you know that apparently there was a lot of changes in this patch, but we're just going to get into the meat of it right away. Check out the light changes coming to TFT and patch notes here. Okay, here we go. So 12.8 nerfs 3 champions, adjusted to buffs 1,000,000. And then systems stopwatch is apparently being changed. Nothing is standing out immediately from the highlights that were, you know, the adjustments or whatever. So let's just get into it. Swain mid-scope update. All abilities adjusted. Passive Ravenous Flock. So 4 to 9% of healing from soul fragments, 4 to 9% of maximum health at levels 1, 6, 11. Okay. Maximum health increase per soul fragment is up as well, so he is getting tankier. Pull E mechanisms. Swain can no longer use passive Ravenous Flock to pull and rip out soul fragments from Mab. Oh, okay. C, E, never move. Okay. Q Death's Hand. So it looks like actually this stuff is pretty much all the same. So you guys could check out my Swain, Swain and Olaf update video. So they're making it so his Q is more spammable in lane. They're making it so that he actually gets tankier. Vision of the Empire. So I think that they should reduce range from this thing to shift more power into his kit, but whatever. Mana cost is going down early. Pinging W, Vision of... Okay, I mean, that's luxury. Never Move can now be recast to pull all enemy champions rooted by Eve Never Move, ripping out 1 soul fragment from each of them. Swain's pulls no longer deal damage. Okay. So that's fine. Now grants vision of all rooted targets. That's really good as well. E Never Move's cooldown is reduced by 20% during R Demonic Ascension. Now this is really big because he can apparently indefinitely keep R up, even though he can only cast Solar Flare, or Demon Flare, whatever the hell it's called. Demon Flare, there it is, at the bottom here. He can only cast this one time apparently per Demonic Ascension, which I feel like that's kind of... That feels bad, but whatever. The cooldown on it is really, really, really low. So basically, I feel like... So if his cooldown immediately starts as he casts it, while it's going, I mean, this thing is permanently up. Because inside of the team fight, I mean, he'll cast it, it'll run its duration, and then when you can consider that he has CDR inside of his kit, it's just going to be up again as soon as it's down. So these are really big Swain changes. Drain damage per second is going to be 35 to 65 plus 14% to 20 to 60 plus 10%. Okay. Drain heal is also, his heal is actually going up. So his heal early is lower, but his heal is going up later. And then obviously it scales with the AP, and then no longer grants Swain bonus health. So this actually does feel really bad. Active duration 12 seconds based on demon power. Okay, demon power. So Demonic Ascension grants him 50 demon power, which decreases his initial rate of 10 per second. After 5 seconds, it decreases faster, rate of 15 per second. Swain gains 20 demon power per second while draining enemy champions. After 2 seconds of Demonic Ascension, Swain can recast his ultimate R Demon Flare. Demon Flare can only be cast once and does not end Demonic Ascension. So in the mid game, his healing tick rate is up, but the problem is that the bonus health missing does mean that he does have to heal actually kind of a considerable amount. I mean, the difference in AP here is actually going to have to come into play. I do imagine that with the change to his passive, plus the difference in AP here, plus the increase flat on the heal, it's probably going to be somewhat similar, but obviously in extended fights, I think it is going to be stronger. And then Demon Flare, so this is where the real juice is now. So in addition to draining them each second, which I think is actually kind of big, because realistically, you're probably going to drain at minimum 4 seconds. So when you consider this is like 70% AP, right? If you drain it initially 4 seconds, this is a lot of base damage just at level 6. Which is really big. Demon Flare now slows enemy by 60%. That's obviously really cool. It helps you stick. It helps you be durable and tanky. But this is a very big explosion. 300 is actually kind of on the low side in the later stages. This actually doesn't ramp up a lot per base level, which kind of feels bad. I would have liked to have seen this go up a little bit more. All in all, it does seem like they are trying to make Swain a battle mage, and with the current position of Everfrost in the game, I mean, I imagine that he's going to go mid and that he will be able to go Everfrost. He's really well placed, I think, against Ahri and Vex, which are two of the really premier champions right now in mid lane. They're very, very popular. The reason that he's obviously good against both is he enjoys being in the fight, he enjoys being engaged on, and both of those two champions want to do that very thing, so naturally he will benefit as an immediate response. So I think that that's really good for Swain. Bard, passive damage, meep scaling increase, W base maximum heal increase. So this is really big. Now, this is big for support Bard, but it's even bigger for roaming, Spell Thief's Edge, Bard, mid lane, because passive time Traveler's Claw, he's just getting a lot of extra damage early. For no reason. He's getting tremendous amounts of damage early, and then W Caretaker Shrine, the maximum heal going up. I mean, it's a very minor amount. Like, it's not going to really do anything in laning phase. You're not putting points into W, so this doesn't really come into effect until way later in the game. And that, again, I mean, I guess actually it almost never comes into effect, because realistically, if Bard is support or he's mid, W is his last maxed ability, so all that's really happening is that you're getting 5 extra maximum heal. You're getting 5, so if he has 3 of his shrines out, then you get 15. I mean, it's a very negligible amount of change. I mean, there's no way. I mean, even it goes up by 10 points. So like, I guess if you put, it's a second point. No, I mean, it's totally negligible. Ezreal, R cooldown now decreases with rank. This is really big. Ezreal will basically have it up 2 times a minute in the later stages of the game. He'll have it up 2 times a minute in the later stages of the game, and that can be kind of nice for team fights. It means that you're able to sort of poke initially before a dragon fight or a baron fight, and then you should be able to get your R back up before the dragon or the baron actually, the fight itself ends up actually commencing. So that should be really good. Is the cam blurry? I really hope that this cam is not blurry. I hope that the cam is not blurry. I hope that it's not blurry. There's no editing on this, by the way. There is no editing. It's totally fine. I really hope that this cam is not blurry. Is it blurry? It's not blurry. We're totally fine. Okay, great. All right, so not to be outdone by horror, Fiddelsticks. W healing against champions increased. So hopefully, so this is supposed to be the MSI patch. All right, I believe. So with this being the MSI patch, this is really cool. Inspired does play Fiddlesticks. W Bountiful Harvest is going to be 30 to 50%, 30 to 70%. W, he does put points in, so this isn't like it's totally useless. It's still always 15% against minions. That's totally fine. He does just get a little bit of extra healing inside of ganks, and that just makes him a little bit more durable. This is mostly only effective for the 2v2s and I guess 3v3s, but late game, it does actually start mattering, I guess, in like, third, fourth dragon fights. The healing increase can be pretty big. Jhin, W root duration increase, damage reduction against monsters removed. Okay, that is very nice. E-traps now recharge faster, damage reduction against monsters removed for first trap. So only for first trap. That feels kind of bad. Okay. W Deadly Flourish, root duration 1 to 2 seconds to 1.25 to 2.25 seconds. This is kind of nice because Jhin doesn't put points in W, so just getting, even if it's a quarter second extra root is actually kind of big. Damage against monsters no longer reduced by 25%. Damage against minions and summons unchanged, that's fine. E-Captive Audience. The cooldown on it is going down actually by quite a bit, and this is really big because you don't put points in it early. It is still really high, so you guys might know that Riot Phlox was in my Twitch chat earlier on in the week, and he actually did say that Riot August did want somehow maybe for Jhin to be able to be a jungler. I do not think that these changes are enough. They are definitely not. If his Q did bonus damage, or if his passive force shot did bonus damage, maybe it does, and I'm just coached by the way right now. That would definitely help. I feel like the wait. First Lotus Trap damage, no... Oh, wait. Does this mean... Wait, I actually don't understand. Does it only mean the first one that goes off is not reduced and then every other one is reduced? Or does it mean that not... Because what this could do is Jhin could maybe play like Shaco in the sense that he can do 2 camps at once with Lotus Traps level 1. He could just plant a lot of Lotus Traps, I think. But I don't totally understand how it's working, and I'm sorry, coach, by the way. Okay, so Jinx base stats, she's missing 2 auto attacks level 1. This is actually really big for her to get nerfed by. It doesn't mean that Jinx is unpickable. It just means that, you know, she is more vulnerable down there in the bot lane. So she'd have to be like a counter pick hyper thing, you know, without, you know, coming out too early and then getting punished by like really aggressive bot lanes. This means that like things like Ezreal Karma are obviously a lot stronger against her, Lucian Nami, things like this. Like, this is a lot of HP to be missing. Kaisa, passive proc AP ratio increased, WAP ratio decreased, R shield AP ratio increased. Passive, second skin. Bonus magic damage upon consuming full plasma stacks, 15 plus 2.5 per 100 AP to 15%, 5% per 100 AP. So her passive ends up dealing more damage if you end up landing it all. And then W Void Seeker, 30 to 130 plus 130% AP, 70% AP to 30 to 130 plus 130% AD, 45% AP. So the thing is that Kaisa, I don't think she actually has tremendous amounts of ability power in a lot of these cases. So she is missing 25% AP, but like realistically, what does that actually equate to? So she's missing 25% AP. I don't know off the top of my head what Kaisa's AP numbers are actually at. I think they're somewhere, they float around like what, 220 to 300. So it's not a tremendous amount. She'll still kill you in the same amount of rotations. What it might mean is that her death cap spike, she no longer kills you in 2, she might need 3, but I think that the play style is relatively the same. Her assassination, I think in consideration to her passive, is still there. And then our Killer Instinct, the ability power, I mean, she's getting a little bit more shield, but it's totally negligible. I do think that AP Kaisa mid lane is bad. I think that it is, like, really gimmicky. I think, like, it feels... I don't know how to totally explain it. It is its own playstyle in itself, but I personally only think that it has merit if your team is willing to like flex Kaisa and you get some value out of it in the draft. But I think bot lane Kaisa is really bad in general. What I will say is that these buffs do help the standard Kaisa that just randomly builds Nashers, and so in that regard, it's fine. Kassadin, Q shield AP ratio increased, E AP ratio increased. So the E was not in the highlights, I do not believe. So he's getting 5% ability power on his E. This is actually quite nice. Any extra damage that he gets is very valuable. Now, the other thing that is nice about this is that in some matchups, he does max E first, so he does immediately start like making use of this because he spams it. This is actually really nice because in a team fight, Kassadin might cast, 3 to 4 force pulses in a fight, so that's a 20% AP increase to damage. I mean, it is just nice. And then the shield going up by 10% is really big in like the ranged matchups where he comes in and he, does cute trade timings against the opponent's spell, and they shoot through his shield. So he's gaining a lot of value on that. It's not going to be tremendous, but it will be noticeable. It will equate to probably somewhere in the realm of like half a potion to a potion, depending on what lane it is. Mordekaiser. Passive move speed increase now increases at level 6 and 11. Passive Darkness rises 3% at all levels to 369 at levels 1, 6, 11. The reality is that this is ultimately magical boots. So he's getting like magical boots at he's getting magical boots at level 6 for free, and then he's getting magical boots, which that's exciting, right? At level 11. I feel like the biggest buff that this is for jungle Mordekaiser, which is a thing in like low MMR. I mean, some people would maybe say that he's viable in other MMRs, right? If people have checked out Malice's stream or something, they might have seen him play it in Champions Queue and stuff. Because being able to get free magical boots as you're kiting through the jungle with passive Darkness Rise Up, it is nice for his clear speed. Realistically, not much beyond that. It's pretty luxurious. Poppy, W cooldown reduced. R uncharged knockup duration increased. Charge missile speed and knockback distance increased. Cooldown refund cancel decreased. W steadfast presence. Cooldown 24 to 16 to 20 to 12 makes no sense. Support jungle and top lane Poppy Giga Omega buffed with this. That is way too many seconds to just shave off this ability because this ability is so strong. Keeper's Verdict, 0.25 seconds added to the knockup. Charged missile speed is really fast. That actually makes it harder to dodge. And then the knockback distance. So before, if she knocked you back full distance, there was a chance, depending on the team fight, that you would be able to re-enter the fray. With this, there's no chance that you're getting back into the fray. There's zero chance that you're getting back in. Cooldown refund upon canceled charge is also pretty big. So these are really big poppy changes for those 3 roles. Sejuani, passive Frost Armor timer now decreases with level. Cool. Soraka, W heal AP ratio decrease. So they actually hit the... Oh, no. Okay. They hit... Okay. So her AP and her base... So it's not just the AP. So I thought it was just the... If it was just the AP, that was a joke. If it was just the AP, it's a joke. They removed 20 off the base, and you really start feeling the pain, I would say, at 3 points in W. And this is impactful because sometimes, depending on the lane, you do 3 points or 2 points Q, and then you max W. And then generally you'll put points in E after that. So this is a lot of HP missing. She'll cast W anywhere from 5 to 15 times in a team fight. So that is a lot of HP that is missing, especially when you consider the amplifications that she gets from Moonstone as well as all the other items. So this is a very big nerf to Soraka, but I do still think that she is still going to be one of the better champions in the game. Sylas, our cooldown reduced. Hijack is basically permanently going to be up for the most part, so this is a nice little buff for Sylas, but I do not think that it propels him into the meta by any means. Tristana, AD growth increased. Tristana lost her scaling identity over time, returning her, some power to her late game, which should also make her less reliant on blasting all in with Hail Blades for an early snowball start. So she's getting 0.4 AD per level, so her AD does go up by a little bit over half a longsword at level 18. And don't forget that Tristana got buffs earlier on in the season. She's actually gotten several buffs in a row, and I think that these are all really good buffs for mid and top lane Tristana, because they're going to be the ones that also benefit the most from scaling per level, because they get more levels than traditional ADC Tristana gets. Vel'Koz, Q and W AP ratios increase. Q, Plasma Fission. Magic is going to be 80 to 240 plus 80% AP to 80 to 240 plus 90% AP. Now, Vel'Koz, I do believe, does go for AP. I don't believe that he just goes for, utility and all this other stuff. So, this is pretty big. He's also getting 5% AP on W Void Rift. These are really big buffs to Vel'Koz, but the problem is that no one's going to put the time in to learn Vel'Koz. He's really, really, really hard to play, and I just do not think that mid laners in competitive are going to play this champion. He requires so many games on him in order to be useful. Vladimir, base armor increased. So this goes up by 4. This is really big for mid, top, and ADC Vladimir. With the way that a lot of champions are in the meta right now, this is just outright a buff. He's almost getting a free armor rune out the get-go. One of those extra runes. So that is kind of nice for Vladimir. This helps him be a lot more durable in both of the lanes. If anyone's, watched Elite 500 stream, I think he's probably the most famous Western Vladimir streamer or something. He thinks that Vladimir is already in a good spot, and this is just definitely a nice little buff for him. Xayah, Q-base damage decrease, late cooldown decrease. Double daggers, 45 to 125 plus 50% bonus AD to 45 to 105 plus 50% bonus AD. Not the end of the world. Cooldown is going up by 2 seconds, though. That is pretty big on Xayah. Xayah does get a lot of CDR, though. I don't think it's going to be the end of the world. Xayah never should have been getting picked proactively, she never should have been getting picked out the gate anyway. She is a reactive AD carry, and she should remain that way. The fact that her crit was buffed and then everyone started playing her and was building lethality and stuff is already sort of a parody in itself. But Xayah should just remain an anti-hard engage AD carry, and I'm totally fine with that, because in that situation, she's still going to be good. Wow, there's just so many changes. E, Shocking Orb stun duration, 0.5 to 2 seconds based on distance to 0.75 to 2.25 based on distance. Nice little buff for Xerath. I do think that Xerath is already really, really, really good in the support position and AD carry position. I think that both of those are his best roles. I do not think that he should go mid lane unless the draft really calls for it, because he just achieves pretty much what you want him to from the two aforementioned roles without having to allocate all the golden resources and levels and stuff to him in mid lane. So, Zoe, Q and R mana cost decrease. This is a champion that will cause a lot of headaches for many people, but I'm very happy about this. So, Zoe spams both of these abilities in lane a lot. Paddle Star, I can't tell you how many Paddle Stars she probably spams in lane. She's probably getting, I would wager, anywhere from 120 to 180 mana in her initial laning phase, and I think that is disgusting in terms of value. She's actually probably getting the 3 like cookie mana things for free. And I think that is absolutely broken. Portal Jump mana cost is also down. She spams that a little bit. I think that like in mid game or something, this probably equates to a Sapphire Crystal for Zoe in her mid game laning phase. Early game laning phase is absolutely broken though. Stopwatch. Stopwatch will no longer be purchasable if you already own Guardian Angel or Zhonya's Hourglass. Wow. So now you have to use it, break it, and then buy it so that you can't do the double Stopwatch shenanigans. I think this is totally fine. Generally, plays like this only happen when one team is really far ahead, so I'm actually fine with the change here. Normally, like when a player is really far ahead, they actually can't get better power than having 2 stasises in a team fight, and so that's why they would do the double Zhonya or the GA plus the Stopwatch, etc. And so removing that as a possibility, I think, is fine. Mythic content overhaul. So this is all nice. Adjustments to Masterwork milestones, okay. Piltover Clash. This is a lot of changes, and I do hope that before the end of the month, I will be able to get the patron 12.8 tier list out, because this is a lot of changes, and I do think that there are some adjustments in store for both solo queue and Clash. So that will hopefully be out before, well, it will be out before Piltover Clash this weekend ends up happening on patreon.com/LSXYZ9. Clash obviously available at tier 2 or tier 3 or something, and then solo queue obviously available at the $5 tier. Bug fixes, quality of life, a lot of changes here, and that is pretty much it. So let's just do a quick recap on what impacts competitive and what might be solo queue only. So Swain could be solo queue, could be competitive. I need to see it before I know more. Olaf was removed from this patch. That immediately would have impacted both. Bard is really, really, really big for competitive. If people played roaming Bard mid, I don't expect people to do that, but roaming Bard mid lane with Spell Thieves, getting level 2 in laning phase, running around, using chimes to get level ups and mess around with people with jungle and stuff, I think that's probably Bard's best role. And I think this is massive for competitive. Solo queue doesn't really change too much. Ezreal, massive for solo queue, massive for competitive. Fiddlesticks, more so big for solo queue, where people don't have a lot of damage foresight. People aren't used to playing against Fiddlesticks, and it makes his ganks a lot stronger. Not as much for competitive. Jhin doesn't really do a whole lot. I don't think it's enough to make him a jungler. Jinx, really, really big for both competitive and solo queue. Kaisa, really, really, really big. I think we will never see her again in competitive. And for solo queue, I do think that this also means that she'll never be touched again in that position. Kassadin, really big for competitive and also quite big for solo queue. Mordekaiser, really big for solo queue. Don't think it addresses really the problems that Mordekaiser's having. Mord's in a position where he's really, 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 really close to probably just getting tipped. Mordekaiser, because of the nature of his kit, means that he sort of is always destined to just be really bad. In fact, I actually go as far to say that Mordekaiser is top 5 worst champion in the game right now. And I understand that there's going to be some people that might cite solo queue win rates or solo queue statistics and say that it can't be possible that Mordekaiser is the worst, without forgetting that I'm talking about competitive. I believe that every champion, sort of with the exception of Pantheon, can be picked in competitive, but Mordekaiser and Pantheon are definitely 2 of the worst in the game right now, and I think that Mordekaiser is really bad. The problem is that Mordekaiser, much like Syndra and some other champions in the game, if you give the champion too much, he's ultimately just a giant stat stick, and if he has too much, then he just runs at you. He mows you down, and that's pretty much it. Mordekaiser has received an endless string of buffs and buffs and buffs, and I think that eventually Riot is going to give him too many, and then instantly he's a stat checker again. He's in solo queue everywhere. He's going everywhere, and then Riot nerfs him again, and then the cycle repeats. And I think that's just what he's destined for. Poppy, really big for solo queue, very big for competitive as well. Sejuani, big for competitive. If you're playing Sejuani in solo queue, you're kind of griefing. Soraka, really hard nerf for, I would say it's a really hard nerf for competitive and solo queue. I think more so in solo queue where variables are less controlled. I think in competitive, fights are more controlled, and so the W nerf isn't as painful. Sylas, really big for solo queue, doesn't really do much for competitive, I don't think. Tristana, really big for competitive. I think that mid and top Tristana in solo queue is not really a thing, so, there's that. Vel'Koz, really big for solo queue. He's not in competitive. Vladimir, really big for solo queue, where, you can just pick Vladimir, people pick 80 champions into you anyway, and you're just getting a lot of extra HP early. Xayah, really big for competitive and solo queue. Xerath, nice buff for solo queue. Makes all the Xerath support players a lot happier. Zoe is massive for competitive and for solo queue. This is like, it's so much just extra free mana that allows her to just hit you so much more often. And then Stopwatch change, really fringe competitive usage. That's pretty much it. And that is going to do it for all the changes. I am happy. Eclipse Aatrox. So Aatrox does look... he looks like Steppenwolf or something from the Justice League. That's sort of like the armor that he has going on here. I think it's kind of cool. The Diana honestly looks like Adam Warlock was just made as a female or something like that. It literally looks like the golden city people from Guardians of the Galaxy. Just this is Adele Warlock. Cool. All right, great. Eclipse Knight, Senna. I don't know how to feel about this. The skin looks a little bit weird. This actually doesn't look like Senna. This legitimately does not look like Senna. Yeah, this does not look like Senna. Also, we noticed the shadow right here. I don't know what this is, and we noticed the wings. So I assume this is Kale. Or something that she's fighting. I'm not totally sure. Prestige Lunar Eclipse Senna. This skin looks really cool. Honestly, these this stuff going on with her hair and with her sword and everything else, it looks straight out of like Final Fantasy or something. The alternative thing would be like, this is what would have happened if Kerrigan somehow had a threesome with Protoss, Terran, and Zerg. I don't know what these these braids are, but they look like they link into the Protoss neural network thingy. And obviously, if anyone saw Sarah Kerrigan's hair at the end of Legacy of the Void, they know exactly what I'm talking about. And then yeah, I mean this is what would have happened if Kerrigan had a threesome. So so anyways, Eclipse Knight Sejuani. Honestly, the base skin and look just looks too much like Kale. So that just kind of feels really weird. Also, why does Kevin Tuggles look like a bird? I don't understand why it looks like a giant griffin. This does not look like, I don't know, that's weird. This is Eclipse Knight Sivir. Does look like Pyro or some sort of X-Men flamey champion thingy majiggy. And honestly, the background does look like a Fiddlesticks thing. This almost looks like a harrowing. And then Ruined Gangplank. Why is Ruined Gangplank finally getting a skin? That doesn't make any sense. Are they trying to do something with Viego? Is Viego going to be, is Viego somehow going to come back? I mean, he's currently locked away the same way that Nicol Bolas is locked away. And so obviously Riot will probably end up revisiting. And then Sea Dog Yasuo. Now you can officially call your Yasuo player on your team a dog without actually getting banned. True. This skin looks absolutely magnificent. Honestly, I feel like the timing of the Sea Dog and the Ruined Gangplank thing should have probably just been in line with Aquaman 2. But I don't know. I feel like that would have made a lot more sense. This skin does look badass. This almost looks like it could have been its own champion in a way if they just didn't do it with the hair and other stuff. And, Alawi is here. These are Alawi's tentacles. So this is very interesting, but Alawi doesn't actually have a skin in this patch. Gangplank the Betrayer. Did he betray? Oh, wait. It says... Wait. It says Gangplank the Betrayer, but it says Ruin Gangplank when you open the image. Huh. I wonder who he betrayed. Did he betray Alawi? I'm not totally sure what's going on there. But anyways, the skins do look very cool. All these things are totally fine, and that is gonna do it for this patch rundown. I'm very happy about this patch, but and Riot, I know you're listening. I know you're listening. Okay, 12.9 will decide what happens. Okay, right now we're looking great. We're looking great. 12.9. Let's just get some juice before summer, all right? What a fantastic patch this was. Lots of changes. Now, do you think, Riot, do you think that pro play is going to pick up on any of these changes? Absolutely not. No, they're not. So we're going to need a little bit more. We're going to need a little bit more of a shove, a little bit more of a nudge in the certain direction to help our fellow pro players out in all those various regions. Because you can bet your bottom dollar that these pro players saw Jinx and Xayah get nerfed, and what's their first thought? Oh, Aphelios. Aphelios. What's their second thought? Jinx is still fine. What's the third thought here? Oh, Jhin got buffed. Let me play Jhin again, because you remember he was there at the beginning. Don't forget that. Okay. So yeah, let's keep all that in mind. All right. This was a great patch. It was fantastic. Keep up the good work. Okay. I hope to see a buff list for 12.9 that actually exceeds this one. That'd be great. That'd be swell. I know there's a way that we can do it. We can absolutely do it. And honestly, even if we nerfed nothing, I'm totally fine with that. I am, and I think many other people are. If you want to adjust some champions, that's fine too. Wouldn't be opposed to that. But yeah, I think that's great. Let's get some more buffs for the next patch, even if they're microscopic. Let's just keep nudging our great friends. I don't know if anyone saw the stats that I ended up retweeting about the amount of unique picks and bans that happen in playoffs in all of the regions. The number was around 20. So for a game with over 150 champions, for 20 unique champions to be getting picked and banned in most regions' playoffs, sounds like we got a bit of a problem. And I'm not talking about Tyler 1 in Houston. Tyler will be in Korea apparently next week. So that's it for this patch rundown, and I hope that you guys all enjoyed it.